Welcome back. Today's topic is about three common fears that retirees have, and not just retirees, but maybe even those that are 5, 10 years before retirement, and they're looking ahead to that date, and they want to make sure that they're making the right moves today, because if they don't, they know that there's some real things that they're afraid of that could possibly happen that they want to avoid. And that's what we're going to talk about today. If you're new to the channel, my name's Chris Hammond. I'm a financial advisor at Hammond Wealth Advisory. We help our clients not only in retirement, but even getting prepared for retirement, making sure they have their financial house in order so they don't have to worry about, am I investing properly to meet my own specific goals? Am I making the right moves? Am I not putting too much stress on my portfolio with distributions that could cause me to run out of money? All that kind of stuff. And here on this channel on YouTube, we talk about all those topics as well to help you out to make better decisions for your retirement. Now let's jump right into this. The first big fear, probably the most common one that I see people have that are getting close to retirement, is the fear of running out of money. Now this can take two forms. It could be one, that they feel that they have not reached an adequate savings goal. That could be the first one. That could definitely lead to running out of money in retirement if you hadn't saved enough and you start spending it and it runs out, right? And then the other fear on running out of money is investment losses. And we have been reminded of how those play out from last year, 2022, which was a down market for just about everybody. Now, imagine that you're 5 or 10 years out from retirement and you're probably at the highest earnings potential, highest earnings that you've ever been at in your career, just because you've worked your way up the ladder. And at the same time, your expenses have probably dropped because at this point, your dependents, your children, they've moved out. They're self-sufficient now. And now you find that you're earning more than you've ever earned before. Your expenses are lower, and you have this excess money that you're able to put away for your future into retirement. And now you're thinking in your head, when is the right time for me to retire? I don't want to give this up only to find out that I didn't have an adequate savings goal a few years down the road after I've already retired. And heaven forbid, I've got to go back into the workforce again. Because what's the chances I'd be able to find a job that's paying this well or at a place that I enjoy working at as much as I do right now? And so you have that thought that could go on in your mind. And at the same time, on the other end of the spectrum, you have this other thought that says, I see all my peers retiring. They're going out. They now have time, flexibility, and freedom. They're doing what they want to do. And while I'm getting all these extra savings potentially that I can put aside for my future, at the same time, I can't replace my time. Every year that goes by is one less year that I have being healthy and able to enjoy the freedom that retirement would give me. And so this idea of when is the right time to retire, when have I reached a good target savings goal, is an important one to consider as you're approaching retirement. Now, one thing that you can do for the first one when it comes to inadequate savings goal is, first of all, figure out what your retirement income sources are going to be, like Social Security or a pension, and then figure out what your expenses are going to be. If your income sources are higher than your expenses, that's really good for you. That means you're going to be able to cover those with Social Security, pension, and all that. You may not even have to tap into your portfolio to cover your regular monthly expenses, utilities, groceries, gas in the car, Medigap insurance policy, things like that. Now, if you find out that your expenses are bigger than what your Social Security benefits are going to be and your pension and all that, then you're going to have what's called a gap. And so if you want to have a quick and dirty way to calculate a savings goal, take what that gap is and just use 4% as kind of a good estimate. And that'll give you a very rough estimate of what a target savings goal might be for you. And it's going to be different from you than what it is for your neighbor, for your coworker, for the people you go to church with, whatever it is. So just kind of to play that out, if you had a gap of 40,000 that you had to fill each year and you divide that by 4%, that means you would have to have roughly $1 million saved up. So it's just kind of a quick and dirty way that you can figure that out. Now, the other fear of running out of money with investment losses, One way that you can help to avoid this one is just to figure out on your own portfolio. I like to think of it like a bell curve. And you have a portfolio, and you need to figure out, if you don't, you get somebody that can help you, an advisor or a financial advisor that can help you out with this. You have some type of average rate of return. Maybe it's 8%, 9, 10, 7, 6, whatever it is for you. But it doesn't get that every year. You can look back historically and or have a financial advisor do that for you, look back and figure out what that is. But you don't get that return every year. It deviates from that average, and it could fall, anywhere on the bell curve pretty much in here. Well, what you do is if you can find out what your standard deviation is on that portfolio, it can give you an idea of what is normal within this bell curve, so that you don't have to freak out and panic and sell when the market goes down necessarily. So let's take a year like last year. Most portfolios, they might have been down 20% or so. But depending on the type of portfolio that you have, that may be perfectly normal. And if you know it's normal and can rest assured in that fact that you could ride it out and not sell at a loss, that can help you a lot. Because consider, if your portfolio goes down and you panic and you sell out at a low point and then it rebounds, and you're not invested to take advantage of that rebound, can that contribute to you running out of money in retirement? Well, it could be a big, big factor in that. So one thing to do to help avoid running out of money with investment losses is understand what your portfolio is, what's normal for it and how it performs. And if you have a portfolio that says it's normal that it could go down 20% in any given year, and you're not comfortable with that, then maybe it's time you make some choices to be in a more conservative portfolio and see if that works in your overall plan. Okay. Now, moving on to the second one that I see is the fear of inflation. So this is a really big one, especially lately. Last year, we had high inflation rates, over 8%. And so the fear comes along the lines of really two ways. If you're taking recurring withdrawals from your portfolio, you guys can read that. I'm doing the best I can. If you're taking recurring withdrawals from your portfolio to cover utilities and to supplement your Social Security income and maybe your pension, well, if inflation keeps going up, then that means you got to take higher and higher withdrawals just to maintain the lifestyle that you were used to. Or let's say you cover all your expenses with Social Security and pension, and you don't have to withdraw from your portfolio. Well, you still have one-time purchases that you might have to tap into your portfolio to get, like a new car. Maybe you want to take a big vacation, or take the kids and grandkids on a big vacation, but now it costs more money because of inflation. That means it's more money that you're going to have to pull from your portfolio, which can cause people to worry about running out of money, which is really another way of saying, what people typically do, instead of just spending their last penny, they really start just lowering their lifestyle, and they start spending less and less and start to wonder, was this really what I wanted to have my retirement be like? Right. Well, one way to help to push back and fight back against inflation is to make sure that you're blending into your portfolio, having a diversified portfolio, but include more growth-oriented asset classes. This might be things like stocks. You might want to have some real estate as well that you can use. Sometimes commodities do good during inflationary periods. It might make sense to blend some of those into your portfolio as well, because if your retirement, if you retire at 65 and you live to age 90, well, I mean, that's a 25-year period of retirement. Inflation can do a lot during that time period. And so you need to think as a long-term investor how to overcome that. All right, let's move on to the last one. And the last big one is rising taxes. All right, so if you're watching this, you're probably getting close to retirement. That means you're probably getting close to going on to Social Security. If you're getting close to 65, you might be getting close to go on to Medicare. And there's more and more of you that are getting to those ages. You're aging into it and qualify for it in that requires tax dollars to support those programs. And as more and more people to get on it, and there's less and less workers to support each person that's on it, what's probably going to happen is taxes are going to have to rise to support these programs. Because I don't personally believe that they are going to cut these programs out. That's just too politically unpopular. It'd be a lot more politically safe just to raise taxes a bit. Now, where that can come into affect you as a retiree is that most retirees have the bulk of their wealth in either a 401k, IRA, and it's usually in the ones that's pre-tax. Now, what that means is when you pull money out of that 401k in retirement, you're going to spend it, or you pull it from your IRA, you have to claim it as income, and you have to pay taxes on it depending on what your tax bracket is. Now, if they raise taxes in the future, that means when you pull that same amount of dollars out of your 401k and you have to pay higher taxes, it means you get to keep less of it. And that gets us back to fear number one. If you have to pull more out just to keep the same amount, it's more of a fear of a threat of running out of money, isn't it? Well, one of the things that you can do to help kind of diversify your what they call it, tax diversification would be one way to think about it, is you can look at other types of accounts that you can start slowly accumulating wealth in. So like a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k, if your employer provides that. The money you already pay taxes on it, but then when it comes out, the growth of it, if you follow the rules, is all tax-free. And then you also have the other type of tax bucket. These would be non-qualified accounts. Think of like a brokerage account. These are taxable every year, but they're also have some more favorable tax rates than your 401k IRA does. So for instance, if you're retired and you need to pull some money out to make a big purchase or just to cover your living expenses, you might pull some from your 401k. But let's say you pull from it, you're having to claim income, and you know that you're going to be busting beyond the 12% tax bracket, and you want to keep it under that. Well, instead of pulling any more of taxable income out right here, you might want to pull some tax-free income out here. Or you might even look over here at the non-qualified thing. Maybe you have some stocks that you could sell, and when you sell those at a gain, instead of them being taxed at ordinary income tax rates, you might get them taxed at long-term capital gains tax rates, which are lower, which means less tax that you have to pay. But if you have all your money in these 401ks and pre-tax accounts right here, you're not going to have that flexibility to do that. So if rates go up in the future, tax rates do, you'll probably be at risk of paying more, is what could potentially happen. Now, one thing that you can do to help over time get this tax diversification, one thing you can do is things like Roth conversions, where you voluntarily take some money from your IRA, convert it to a Roth, and just go ahead and prepay that tax. And then you don't have to worry about that tax again after that point. So that's a couple of things that you can do for these 3 common fears that a lot of retirees have. Now, if you want some more resources on getting ready for retirement, good place you can get that is getting a copy of the Essential Step-by-Step Retirement Guide. It's really easy to download. Just go to the website down there, retirementplanningmadeeasy.com, and you can see a link on there. You click on it and download this thing. It's going to go over some spending and kind of help you out with your cash flow as far as knowing, what type of income levels you're going to need to cover your expenses in retirement. And it goes over a whole bunch more. It's a good place to start. So feel free to go over there, download a copy of that. And that's all I got for this video. I will see you guys on the next video. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.